Good morning, happy Friday Eve from God's long lost mitten. Grizzly Mantes here with your shot of espresso. We're gonna have to take a moment of silence for Miss Monica, who unfortunately oh boy, she had a lot of fun last night. We were out and about, and man, she is still in recovery mode. So everyone say a silent prayer and hope that headache will eventually go away. It's the end of the week. We're gonna keep it relatively chill since, of course, it's just me. I got a couple updates here, some interesting stories to go over. Nothing too crazy, I hope. But then again, we live in crazy times. So I say let's go ahead and let's get to the news, shall we? So first off, this is an update to, of course, the slap heard round the world. Mr. Will Smith in the Oscars slapped Chris Rock. We've all seen it. We've seen the memes. They're everywhere. However, I did notice that whenever I was having a debate about this, the question constantly came up, was it staged or was it not? And of course, I always said it seemed as though there was going to be something that was going to happen. Like, you watch Chris Rock, and it could just be, oh, here comes Will Smith, we're going to do something buddy-buddy. But a lot of people pointed out that it does kind of look like he was ready for something to happen. I would say he was ready for something to happen, but it was not getting slapped across the face and then getting swore at. There's a lot of tells that something here was very unscripted. First off, obviously immediately after the incident happened and Chris Rock responded, dude, it was just a G.I. Jane joke. And of course, as we know, Will Smith responded with a couple of F-bombs. And for Mr. Fresh Prince, who spent 30 years building up the goodwill as, I don't swear in my albums, I don't swear, blah, 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 I'm a good dude. For him to yell F-bombs is your first big hint that something was very wrong. Of course, then Chris Rock went on to kind of bumble through what he was trying to give the award for, kind of missed a couple words, and you could tell he was off. He was on tilt after that. So I always thought, even though something was probably scripted to happen or they were planning to do something, Will Smith got lost in the moment. His emotions got the better of him, and all of that little rage from being just a pathetic little cuck came out. Bam. Smacks Chris Rock. The rest is history. However, the one thing that Ms. Monica rightly brought up was, well, why wasn't he taken out of the Oscars? And of course, the response is always just, well, it's Will Smith. What are you going to do? It's Will Smith. This is Hollywood, and he's essentially one of the pillars, one of the titans of Hollywood, was being the key word there. However, it has been revealed from the post-millennium, Will Smith was asked to leave the Oscars after he slapped Chris Rock, and he refused. Quote, we'd like to clarify that Mr. Smith was asked to leave the ceremony and refused. We also recognize that we could have handled the situation differently. You don't say. I mean, I'm so happy that, assault is now just approved and defendable. Just blatant assault, unprovoked, because you don't go after someone for a dated joke. Someone makes a G.I. Jane joke. Okay. You can say whatever you want about alopecia and the struggles of being a millionaire actress like Jada Pinkett Smith. Oh, married to Will Smith. Oh, man. Cucked out relationship. Trouble at home. Yada, yada, yada. But alopecia, my friends, it's not cancer. Cancer survivors. I'm not going to make light of alopecia, obviously, as someone who, tragically, is afflicted as well. Oh, bring me a cure, baby. Bring me a cure. Anywho, not cancer survivors. They didn't lose all their hair. You just got some bald spots. It happens. It happens to men every day. Do we get silent memorials and Pfizer releasing drugs that could cure it? Yeah, look into that, by the way. Miss Monica brought that one to my attention. I wasn't aware that was a thing. Look into that. Anyways, no, of course not. But of course, Hollywood, they're just the elites. They must be pampered. They must be breaded. And I am so happy that era is on the way out. These people are despicable, by and large. There's, of course, gems in there, but they all gave standing ovations to Harvey Weinstein. They all gave standing ovations to Roman Polanski. Yeah, right. They are not bad, or they are not good people. They are bad hombres. Bad hombres. And the fact that this is all coming out, I love it. I absolutely do. I hope this is the death of Hollywood, and this is coming from someone who used to love movies. Used to love it. But unfortunately, as we saw from Ron Perlman's ridiculous self, there's a better R word to use there, from his ridiculous self, that these people are just, they're mental. They're mental. Even if you take out the fact that they go after whatever ridiculous public outcry or charge that they can, and they champion it as their own, and they come out and they tell the plebes, how about we just sing Imagine? Will that make everything better? Yeah, the birds are still doing their thing, so sorry about that. They might not, maybe they don't agree, maybe they're cheering me on, who knows, but this will be the last day of the birds potentially in the background. But in their defense, they're quite adorable. Just gonna throw that one out there. They are quite adorable little birds. Anywho, if you saw the Ron Perlman video, you know what I'm talking about. These people are disconnected. They're mental, and it's starting to spill out even from their most prominent individuals like Will Smith. Now, I'm not going to spend too long on this. You guys know how I feel about it. It's ridiculous. I really just wanted to show that update because I do feel like it reinforces the fact that this wasn't scripted, this wasn't staged, or at least it wasn't meant to go this way. This was an angry guy, full of emotions, clearly full of regrets. The fact that his wife is getting around with her son's friends and then comes out publicly and says it's because he doesn't fulfill her. Oh, wow. He should have dropped her like a bad habit, but can't do that. He's the golden child, or at least he used to be. Well, there you go. Again, don the tinfoil hat. Tell me what you think, but in my opinion, this just kind of solidifies the fact that this was not scripted, this was not normal, and it's indicative of a much larger problem that we're all aware of, we all turn a blind eye to, that the Hollywood people are mental. I'm going to say by and large, because I didn't see anyone coming out up against all of these terrible things going on with trafficking and, like I said, Harvey Weinsteins of the world, until it was cool to do it. They were all giving him standing ovations. They were all thanking him for everything. And it goes down to even the lowest tier of anyone affiliated with him. And it's crazy to me. It's crazy to me that this is the kind of thing that is cheered and encouraged. But then again, public sentiment's against him. The only reason anyone's talking about this is, well, obviously, because assault happened, and they then, up until this article, they asked the assaulter to get up and accept an award. And, everyone give him a standing ovation. He's so strong, so brave, so stunning. Wait, is he though? That's a weird way. It's a weird way to describe it. I just realized stunning, brave is usually something we say about other people, and yet now we're talking about Will Smith. The emasculation continues. Anywho, we're not going to spend too long on this because, like I said, it's the end of the week. I just really had to say, and this isn't like an I told you so situation, because of course we still don't know. There's still rumors that something was scripted or something was supposed to happen, although nothing to this extent happened during any kind of rehearsals, of which they did do, or anything like that. So who knows what the real story is, but whether or not it was supposed to happen, it certainly was not supposed to happen like this, and now he's facing the repercussions, and you know what? Good riddance. Good riddance. So, cha-ching! I don't have anyone to discuss this with. Anything over there? Nope. All right, let's hop to the next article. And it's unfortunate because this is one, you know what? I'm going to point this one out. I'm not going to go over it too much because, honestly, I had this article for Miss Monica. You see, she used to be when we lived in North Carolina, she was a real estate agent, quite good at it, and she's been talking about this forever, that there's this housing bubble coming, and you've seen it. The Fed has raised interest rates. We know that BlackRock and other huge firms are out there buying up houses, completely outbidding the everyday person to the point where people in my generation, but especially the generation that's just getting out of college, they ain't gonna be able to find houses, especially where they want them. Now, truth be told, you can find houses. They are out there. But, as we saw from the BlackRock article yesterday, entitlement, you have to get rid of it first. You have to say, okay, you know what? I may have to drive. I may have to cook. I may have to do these things to get these things that I want. They're no longer available at the push of a button, or I should say, they're on the path to no longer being available at the push of the button. DoorDash, grocery drop-off, being able to, what am I in the mood for? There's a restaurant of every kind of food I can think of within a 3-mile radius. All that is going the way of the buffalo, my friends, unless you're already in. If you're already in, you got your house, and you are snug and nestled there, then, oh boy, hold on tight. Because the way that this is shaping up is going to make 2008 look like a blip on the radar, and we all remember how 2008 was. I hope we all remember how it was. So I guess I can touch a little bit about this. We'll talk about, let's read the article. But like I said, I think we'll save this one and revisit it because she's the expert on it. She really is. And she's been talking about this coming forever. So when I saw this article, when I was doing the research leading up to the show, just looking over what was going on in the world, I immediately was like, boom, there it is. She's been warning everybody forever. Daily Wire's now got it on their front page. So it's new data from the Census Department released last week revealed that the average cost of a new home hit a record high in February at $511,000. $511,000. An interesting aside, we went to visit Monica's grandmother last night, and oh boy, they had a great time. I personally, the reason I am here and quite alert is because I don't really drink. I'm usually the DD in those situations, but they got sloshed. But as we were talking about real estate and this subject came up, she made it a point to say that's insane when we're talking about prices of homes going for 200, 300,000 over asking, sight unseen by way of these investment firms and just desperate people trying to get a house. And her response was, the first house she bought, yeah, 30 grand. Oh yeah, I know. And it's, of course, you can say, well, inflation, blah, 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 but just stop and say that for a second. 30 grand. $30,000. And it was not a small little rinky-dink house. It was a good size house. Good size house. 30 grand. And then there it is right there. $511,000. There are problems here, people. There are problems. And unfortunately, we're just going to have to weather the storm, or at least that's what we're told by these hoity-toity elites like the BlackRock guy we looked at yesterday. But, I mean, it is crazy how bad this could get. I mean, and you look at this. This is just a drop in the bucket compared to everything else. We have the supply chain crisis. We have the food shortages that are coming. People, I'm not going to tell you to be a doomsday prepper. But like we've said time and time again, it's time to start learning. And it's incredibly easy to learn. You can YouTube basically anything these days. You can YouTube how to cook. You can YouTube how to plant. You can YouTube how to fix things around the house that may scare you so you don't have to pay someone else to do it. Now, do I advocate for, say, if your water boiler goes out and you try to find something on YouTube about it to fix it? You should probably know your limits, but it never hurts to look. But simple things that scare people but can save them a lot of money. Cooking, growing, doing things for yourself, homesteading in general. These things can be learned, they can be researched, and they should be. Start now. You should have the same goal that we do, and that is by the end of the summer, when all of this is projected to explode. I'm talking about the cost of food, cost of travel, because of course gas is going in. We'll get to a little bit of Biden shenanigans with that here shortly, but it is all projected that by the end of the summer, it's all going to hit at once. And at the rate we're going, it might be even sooner, so start now. The best time to start these things was yesterday. The second best time is today. Just get on YouTube. You're in your kitchen, you say, okay, what do I have to work with? Okay, well, I only have some chicken and these handful of things. What can I do with that? You would be amazed how easy it is to become a great cook. And when I say a great cook, I mean just someone who can cook, which at this point in this world, that's what a great cook is. Oh, yeah, love it. Housing prices have spiked over 25% over the past year, and since 2012, the cost of a new house has doubled, Phillips explained. Quote, cities with the biggest spikes were Phoenix, Miami, and Tampa, but overall, it was houses in southeastern states that saw the largest spike in 2021. Of course, we just moved to Michigan from North Carolina, and I will tell you, we bought a lovely little fixer-upper. It's actually a house that was built in 1898. Had giant 12-foot ceilings. Beautiful, beautiful house. And we spent the last 3 years just doing things around to fix it up. And, we're talking purely cosmetic things. We're talking, un momento. Pardon. We're talking purely cosmetic things for the most part. Painting. We were fixing up outlets, replacing windows. These things can be done relatively easily by just learning and following instructions. Worst case scenario, you can outsource it, and it is actually pretty cheap these days, or at least cheaper to outsource it to individuals as long as you can. If you're in an area that's populated enough to be able to, research them, because they have, I'm trying to think of the apps. They have apps now where you can actually find people who are carpenters or plumbers and say, I want to hire you for a job. Let's look at your reviews, yada, yada. Anywho, point is, over the course of 3 years, we sold the house, and we literally doubled what we paid for it. We doubled the investment. And like I said, this wasn't anything, we didn't, as much as an impact as we made on that house, the investment that we made into it to double our money, minimal. We're talking 5 to 10% of the amount that we made. This isn't like a fix it or flip it type situation. It's just, as the article points out, and as we've been noticing, the market's just getting out of control. Now, it wasn't, you should be relieved to know that it wasn't an investment firm or anything like that bought it. We actually screened people that were coming in, screened offers, because I actually did get an offer that was, it wasn't as much as we got. It was a little below it. It was about 20 grand less, but it was from an anonymous message that said, I'm interested in your house. I can offer you this much, sight unseen. Let me know what you think, and then we'll move forward with the paperwork. And a lot of people would have looked at that and said, boom, easy paycheck. Here's my house. Bye-bye. We still would have made a good amount of money, not as much as we did, but a good amount of money. However, we both said, you know what? We have come to love this house, and truth be told, we still do. We need somebody who's going to take care of it. So we took our time, and we actually found somebody. My wife approved of them. You know how rigorous she can be. And they truly respected and wanted the house. Now, is everyone going to be like that? Of course not. That's the odds of that are minimal. The point is the demand was there. And we were about, 45 to an hour outside of Raleigh. And I mean, if you imagine a bubble that's just pushing out, because Raleigh, the real estate bubble is just pushing out constantly. And we lived about a half hour. The bubble came. We moved farther outside of it because as Raleigh's influence stretched, they were putting an Amazon factory. They had built that Amazon distribution center. They had an Apple was coming in. Of course, if you know anything about Raleigh, it's already very robust, and its influence and its everything was spreading to the point where we had moved 45 minutes outside of it to try to kind of stay outside of it, because we kind of like a bit of a country, cow country type feel, like a quiet life. And even then, we were seeing houses popping up in our areas that were selling for insane amounts. And when I say that, I don't mean like, oh, here's $500,000 for your $30,000 house. I mean, this house, we saw a rundown house, 1,100 square foot, is sold for like $160,000 or something crazy like that. And I mean, this place was a little rinky-dink shack right off the main road, not desirable, but it was scooped up like that. It's coming. And whoever the powers that be, whether it is BlackRock or something like that, whatever their end game is, it's not meant for you and I. It's not meant for the plebes. It is meant for the elites. And unfortunately, if you are outside of this, we were lucky to get right under it. Very lucky to get under it, to do what we had to do, and to get out before this crash happens. I used to always tell people, investing in property is one of the best things you can do, because it usually, even though things like this do happen, it normally eventually will stabilize and will climb back up. However, this, I don't know. Like the level of this, but like I said, I even said we weren't going to spend too much time on this because I wanted to wait for Monica, but of course I had to get my 2 cents in. We will come back to this. Man, a little sip of coffee, yeah? Oh, some good coffee. We'll come back to this. Let's hop to our next story. Just understand, we will go into more detail on this because, like I said, she's the expert. I'm just the guy that married her. Be aware. If you own property, be aware the value, if this crash does happen, is going to drop. If you don't own property, maybe start thinking about how far outside of the city you would like to expand or you would be comfortable with, and what luxuries you're going to be giving up by doing that. And like I said, just start today. Little things. You know what? I'm not going to go out to eat. I'm actually going to try to make my own meal. You know what? I'm not going to buy this. I'm actually going to try to either grow it myself or maybe live without it. Start trimming. Because you'd be amazed how just trimming little bit, it will add up, and you will thank yourself. Your future self will thank you, especially with the way this is going. So we will come back to this. Again, this is a to be continued situation. Let's see what we got next. Oh, Lordy. So, from the AP, the potato in chief is planning to tap the oil reserve to control gas prices. Now, we saw a little bit of this, as the article does touch on, when they started they released 20 million barrels from our strategic reserve. At this point, you have to wonder, and we always say something along the lines of, never attribute to malice that which could be explained by stupidity. However, where is the intent here? Because there's still, they talked about at the Jen Psaki press conference about all of these leases for being able to drill and how they're just sitting there, but companies are like, those aren't where we want to drill. And of course, banning fracking on federal land, all of these things have contributed, but what's the response? Tap into our reserves. These reserves are supposed to be preserved for times of great need, not artificial need created by god-awful planning and control. Like I said, they are trying, at least seemingly, either they are so mentally incompetent that they should not be there, like this guy, or they are purposely trying to just either kill our our ability to potentially be energy independent and the value of the dollar. Let's read the article before I get too crazy. President Joe Biden is preparing to order the release of up to 1 million barrels of oil per day from the nation's Strategic Petroleum Reserve, according to two people familiar with the decision. All right, so first off, let's take this one with a grain of salt. Awesome job reporting, AP. I'm sure these two people familiar with the decision are quite credible. So look, you see things like that in articles, you take a sigh of relief. As I always say, within all of these articles, and that's why we go through so many, that's why I look through so many different sources, there are nuggets of truth hiding in there. But every single one, especially the closer you get to the mainstream corporate media, you start to see shenanigans like this. Two people familiar with the decision. In a bid to control energy prices that have spiked as the U.S. and allies have imposed steep sanctions on Russia over its invasion of Ukraine. The announcement is expected Thursday when Biden delivers remarks on the administration's plan to combat rising gas prices. The duration of the release hasn't been finalized, but could last for several months. It's just crazy to think that just a couple years ago we were energy independent. We were exporting more than they were importing, net exporting. Yeah, let's not go into too much about that. So the expected move by Biden shows that oil remains a key vulnerability for the U.S. at home and abroad. Higher prices have crushed Biden's approval domestically, while also adding billions of dollars to the Russian war chest as it wages war in Ukraine. The release of the reserves would create pressures that could reduce oil prices, though Biden has already twice ordered releases from the strategic reserves without causing a meaningful shift in oil markets. Well, of course not. 1 million barrels of oil per day. I believe when we previously looked this up, it was they released 60 million barrels because we as a country use 20 million barrels a day. 20 million. He is talking about, at best, a 5% reduction, like because of this extra 1 million. It will do nothing. It literally will do nothing except deplete our strategic reserves. Part of Biden's conundrum is that high prices have not coaxed a meaningful jump in oil production because you banned a bunch of it. The planned release is a way to increase supplies. The markets reacted quickly, with crude oil prices dropping more than 3% on Thursday morning to roughly $104 a barrel. Still, oil is up from roughly $60 a barrel a year ago, as supplies have not kept up with demand as the world economy began to rebound from the goof. There it is right here. Americans on average use about 21 million, so it's even less than 5%, 21 million barrels of oil daily, with about 40% of the consumption devoted to gasoline, according to the U.S. Energy Information Administration. Domestic oil production is equal to more than half the country's usage, but high prices have not led companies to return to their pre-pandemic levels of output. Republican lawmakers have said the problem rests with the Biden administration being hostile to oil permits. I mean, it's obvious, but go on, Republican lawmakers, and the construction of new pipelines such as the Keystone XL, which he, of course, nixed day one in office by executive decree. Democrats have countered that the country needs to move to renewable energy. Sure, there you go. Pete Buttigieg, remember? Just buy an electric car. And then, of course, Stephen Colbert. I don't care. I have a Tesla. Why can't you guys just stop being poor? This is the most condescending trash that these elites can possibly do. This is what this insane green energy push. I don't care if you think you have noble intentions with this. Even Elon Musk, the king of electric vehicles, came out and said you cannot just step away from any kind of fossil fuels. You have to keep them in, and if anything, we should be upping our production. And like I said, this dude is the king of electric vehicles, but of course now they hate his guts for some reason. Who knows? Maybe because he starts telling truths and they cannot have that. The Ministry of Truth does not like that. Quote, I think the administration's anti-fossil fuels are sort of like a religion. Senate Republican leader, Mitch McConnell, man, shut up, Mitch McConnell. These people are worthless. How long have you been there? He stabbed Trump in the back every chance he could. The guy who did actually get us to energy independence for just a fraction of a time, showed us that the possibility was there. What's Mitch McConnell do? He stabs him in the back, he takes his endorsement, begs him for it, gets it, and then immediately goes, no, you better slow down there, Donald Trump. I can't stand these dinosaurs, you know? The fact that the quote is from Mitch McConnell, who is absolutely worthless. We have to get rid of these individuals who, I'm not going to say, you know, I understand since it's just me, I have the ability to go tinfoil hat as much as I want without repercussion, unless she bursts out that door right now. Without repercussions, however, I will say we need fresh blood. We need to get rid of McConnell. We need to get rid of Pelosi. We need to get, I'm not even talking about, you see how I have such disdain for the Republican Party as much as the Democrats, because they're just all the same party. They're all Democrats. It is a uniparty. We have something like, 5 or 6 names I can think of that were actually worth listening to, actually want to do something to help people, and the rest of them are just corporate cronies, getting their kickbacks, blocking things that would be helping us, and trying to keep things moving as slow as possible. And that is just insane to me. It's killing us all, or at least killing our ability to prosper. And it is going to be the downfall of pretty much any aspect that they touch. We don't need more government. We need less government. And we need to start by getting rid of these people through elections, of course. No one's making threats here. No Democrats here. No threats to be made against these people. But good gravy. This is stupid. You know what? Keep it moving. So, speaking of Mr. Biden, this from CNN Politics. This shows you how bad this is getting, where even CNN is forced to report on it. The Hunter Biden soap opera is far from over. Oh boy. These are some of the broad outlines of the sad, sordid soap opera of Hunter Biden, the son of President Joe Biden, whose proximity to power helped make him millions, but whose addiction has cost him so much. Oh God, he's a victim. He's a victim. He's just a poor addict. Oh, I wonder if they're going to talk about how, I don't know if you've seen, but even mainstream media is starting to notice that there is an investigation going on, and it's a lot wider than they realized, which, I mean, that blows my mind because, of course, we've seen what Merrick Garland, the DOJ, and all these idiots in the FBI and the CIA, what they do with their time. All they do is go after parents who speak up at school meetings, people who oppose groomers. They are the worst of the worst. The alphabet agencies do nothing but back up and cover up. However, there is an investigation going on, and it's a lot more wider reaching than they're letting on. So is there a nugget of hope in here? I don't know. Like, they go into it here. They talk about he used his dad's name to make gobs of money, often from foreign companies. Don't forget, 10% for the big guy. The fact that they shared a bank account. You can try your hardest to throw Hunter Biden under the bus. And he's not a good dude. He really isn't. And he very well could get away with this. But at the same time, he had help. He had support. And he had a master in this situation. The big guy was there. And now he's in the Oval Office. So, hot dog. This could get spicy. He was discharged from the Navy for drugs. I mean, they're going over a little beat for beat. He's been the subject of a partisan investigation meant to embarrass his dad before the 2020 election. Oh, you mean that laptop that... Oh, here it is right there. He is tied to a mysteriously lost laptop that was seized by the FBI, but that he says may have been stolen from Russians. Again, there is a clip out there of him in a room with maidens of the night, where he is in fact saying the Russians not only stole his third laptop, but are using it to blackmail him. He's compromised, therefore Joe Biden's compromised. But of course, we already knew that. But this laptop, this mysterious laptop, that they, up until this point, have denied the existence of. They fought it tooth and nail when it came out in October of 2020, and they suppressed the story. This is between the mainstream media and, of course, Twitter, Facebook. They suppressed the story. They said it was fake news, and now they came out and they went, okay, yep, maybe it was real. Maybe. Fabulous. Better late than never, right? Oh, wait a minute. Now he's in the office because you suppressed the information about how corrupt his family is. It's not it's not just Hunter, it's not just Joe, it's his brother, it's the entire family. And if they ever want a copy of this, Rudy Giuliani has straight up said, if you come to my office and don't raid me again, I'll be happy to give you copies of the hard drive, because you can find this stuff online. The FBI can't, but you can. Ugh. He seems to have gotten sober, remarried, published a memoir. That's all crap. Let's cycle through the fluff. Federal investigation heats up. CNN's Evan Perez and blah, blah, blah. Report the probe has gathered steam in recent months. They describe a, quote, flurry of witnesses providing testimony to federal investigators and more expected to provide interviews in the coming weeks, according to multiple sources familiar with the matter. ridiculous. But at the same time, the fact that we're even reading this on CNN Politics shows that this is going on. It is getting bigger. It ain't going away. Oh, it ain't going away at all. Of course, they got to bring Trump into it. They're talking about, they're talking about the whole thing with Trump, Grassley bringing the receipts of the money that China sent him to. This family is compromised from every direction. We know they had deals with Russian oligarchs. We know that China's been giving them money. We know that the Ukraine has been their little corrupt piggy bank this entire time, ever since we instituted and backed our leader in 2014 under the Obama administration. So, again, there's a lot going on. Will anything come of it? I mean, who watches The Watchmen, right? Do you think they're going to indict themselves? Who knows? Although I do think the biggest reason a lot of this is happening is, of course, they've noticed the red wave is coming. I read an article about a bunch of Democrats who are actually dodging giving their normal contributions to the DNC because they don't think they're good. They'd rather keep their money because they think they're going to get slaughtered in the midterms. Rightfully so, of course. They deserve to be slaughtered, but what are we going to do with a bunch of do-nothing Republicans led by Mitch McConnell and Kevin McCarthy who do literally nothing but fight the agenda that we want? It's a big club, and you ain't in it. However, speaking of CNN, and I really want to talk about this one, they launched a new streaming service, CNN Plus, and, who was that loser? I'm forgetting his name. The one that was on Fox News and hopped over. Let's see if it's here. Oh, man, Chris Wallace. Was it Chris Wallace? I think it was Chris Wallace. That loser Chris Wallace, he left Fox News, and that dude is a loser. You may remember he's been around forever, but of course from the presidential debates where Trump literally had to debate Biden and Wallace because Wallace was answering on the behalf of Biden. He hopped ship from Fox News, went to CNN to be their prime star for CNN Plus. So, from the Daily Caller, did CNN's new streaming platform already flop? A tweet provides a clue. Employees at CNN's new streaming service, CNN Plus, are reportedly bracing themselves for layoffs in the upcoming months due to low subscription numbers. Fox Business senior correspondent reported Wednesday the network announced the launching of their streaming platform Tuesday, but it was soon reported that layoffs could occur as early as May. The channel could also be merged into the platform Discovery Plus. Oh, I gotta remember to cancel Discovery Plus. Unless the number of subscriptions increase, according to Gasparo. CNN Plus employees bracing for layoffs, possibly as soon as May, amid projections of lackluster sales. I mean, what can you say? Jeff Zucker and all of his cronies, Anderson Cooper, Don Lemon, Brian Stelter, they drove this station into the dirt. They destroyed it with their TDS-stricken nonsense, blatant lies, blatant manipulation, blatant pandering. It just goes on and on. CNN is trash. MSNBC is trash. Hey, guess what? Fox News is trash. The only person on Fox News I give a crap about is Tucker Carlson. Occasionally Jesse Waters, and of course I have to pay tribute to Peter Doocy, but, there are nuggets there. But by and large, it's controlled opposition. All they did was bash Trump, bash his agenda, and as you recall, they reported Arizona being won by Biden in the election well before it ever was. So, yeah, for anyone who's going to come up to me and be like, oh, you must be one of those Fox News watchers, I say, no. You notice that a lot of these mainstream articles don't come up unless I'm making a point about them because they're all garbage. Now, granted, you can, like we've talked about, you can find nuggets of truth in there. That's why you always got to go through the article. You got to look at the sources. And you got to look for ridiculous keywords like, according to some people familiar with the thinking. It's all garbage, though. Mainstream media is nothing but a propaganda arm of the uniparty. Like I said, it's not about Democrats and Republicans, although I will call them all Democrats because, of course, they all subscribe to this ideology of insanity, America last, and apparently now the hill they want to die on is being a bunch of pedos who want to groom children. I can't believe I'm saying this out loud, but of course that is the world we live in now. So it is nice that after seeing their ratings collapse, after seeing them fire a bunch of people for just ridiculous scandal after years, of course, of covering it up, driving their entire network into the dirt, to see them try again and fail again. It says the new streaming service will play live and on-demand shows from the network's hosts like Anderson Cooper and Poppy Harlow, as well as former Fox News anchor, there it is, Chris Wallace. Well done, Wallace. Hope it works out for you. Wallace joined the network platform, departing from Fox News in December. Blah 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 blah. Oh yes. Nothing like these people showing you their true colors. Anyone out there who cared about Chris Wallace, well, I hope you learned your lesson. But you should take that lesson from all mainstream. It's all garbage. The best thing you can do is basically what we do. Look at sources from across the board and find the real story hiding in there, if it's even in there. You may not always find Waldo. It happens. You may have to come back later once you've gotten a little more information and see where the real message is, because it's all propaganda. Sad but true. However, I do want to highlight something really quick. This actually made me laugh. From, again, knitter.net, because Twitter is garbage. From Cigar and Jetty. Thank you, man. CNN Plus already showing no confidence in their product, throwing away subs at discount rates to fake their initial sign-up numbers, shows how worthless the product is. Book clubs and parenting advice from personalities you can already get for free on CNN. Garbage. Look at this. This just came out and they're saying, save 50% for life. Oh, wow. How confidence building. Well done, CNN. We're obviously done with this story. We're moving on. But wow. I had to highlight that. It took them 1 day to slash the price in half for life. This isn't like a temporary, oh, you sign up for a year and it's a discount. No, they're saying this is $2.99 a month. Please sign up. How's about no, Scott? Hopping on. So this is another update from Breitbart. We had seen during the hearings, and now with Collins and, well, with the flip-flopping, we don't know if this individual is going to make it on the Supreme Court. I would adamantly say that she is should be nowhere near the Supreme Court, should be nowhere near any court. However, I do have an update as to the numbers that Ted Cruz was providing. So, Judge Jackson sentenced those in possession of child porn, the Democrats' favorite thing nowadays, to nearly 60% less time than the national average. 60%. President Biden's Supreme Court nominee, Ketanji Brown Jackson, sentenced those in possession of child pornography to nearly 60% less time than the national average. And these are, of course, like I said, the documents from Ted Cruz. At the time, he had the giant poster boards with all the information on them, and we couldn't quite make out what was on there. I mean, you could, but it's better that he finally released it so we can actually take a look at it. It says, furthermore, cases of child porn distribution in which Jackson was the presiding judge was sentenced 47% less than the national average. Jackson also sentenced the production of child porn 35% less than the national averages. Here's these graphics that he brought. And you can see right here, we have child pornography case sentencing, we have possession distribution. Here's what is recommended. And this isn't even talking about what should be done. This is the bare minimum recommendations. 68 months, 29.2 month average, 135 month, 71.9. We're talking a 57% and a 47% difference between the national average and what she did. Not to mention, if you've been around the media for the last decade, you should be familiar with the word Pizzagate. It was a very interesting thing that happened. I encourage you to look into it. However, I do want to point out Pizzagate, regardless of how it ended, revolved around the subject of child pornography. And it got pretty bad because of how bad the subject got. Guess who the judge was presiding over the main Pizzagate trial? You got it. Ketanji Brown Jackson. I mean, why is it? Why is it that we are seeing this pattern across the board of this desire to go after children by these people? Like, why is that? Why is this the hill they want to die on? Now, I always like to joke and say that, liberals, they don't have children of their own. They have yours. And it's something that every conservative is now waking up to after we're seeing the sick stuff coming out mostly because of the coof and having to see Zoom presentations and seeing the kinds of things that they're teaching, but of course the agenda being pushed nonstop by these individuals and the powers in play that have now they've thrown off the mask, and now they're saying, not only do we support this, but we will work vigorously to make sure you don't stop it. Look at the outrage over the Parental Rights and Education bill in Florida. They call it the Don't Say Gay bill, and idiots come out in mass to support it. Ron Perlman takes his phone and makes some stupid video. I didn't even read the bill, but I'm outraged. There's nothing in there about not saying gay. There's nothing in there about saying straight. They literally are saying, hey, if you're through kindergarten through third grade, let's just keep all of that conversation out of the classroom, and they lose their minds. Read the bill. It's literally almost a 5-sentence paragraph. It's a very small bill, very simple. Hey, you can't hide this stuff from the kids' parents. You can't tell them, don't tell their parents, because then you are liable. That's the bill. You don't talk with them about these things in a public setting. You don't teach these things. If someone has a one-on-one with that teacher, the teacher can do it. As long as they don't say, don't tell your parents. And that alone is enough to make these people lose their mind. They come out on TikTok. They come out on TikTok. They release crazy videos about just insane nonsense. The guy that went on MSNBC that we saw yesterday, yeah, of course, he went on NBC to complain that he could no longer talk about him and his partner's sex life to his kindergarten class. These people are sick. And unfortunately, they've infiltrated apparently every part of education, and I guess parts of Disney, parts of our government. Is it just a big club that involves children? I don't know, but more and more it's starting to look like it, especially after those comments from Madison Cawthorn, which we touched on yesterday. But there's things going on here that you don't need to know about. At least that's what they want to tell you. I mean, look at Ghislaine Maxwell. Let's hide who her clients were. Okay, so you can't actually say she was trafficking anything because you have to traffic to someone. It should have been the biggest RICO bust on the planet. Would that qualify as a RICO? No, maybe not. But it should have been the biggest bust on the planet. We should have taken down this entire network. The problem is, more and more it's looking like this entire network is literally the ruling class. Look at that book from Epstein's Island. Look at the names in there. Look at Bill Gates. Look at everything that's happened. It's a big rabbit hole, people, and if you want to go down it, be prepared to see some messed up things. But we'll keep it relatively PG here. And in this case, we are just looking at the response to something as simple as saying, hey, kindergarten through third graders, you shouldn't be talking to them about this stuff. That's enough to make them lose their mind, which really makes you wonder what is really going on. However, this just shows that it has also infiltrated into our justice system, because this individual, who is now, thanks to spineless Republicans and corrupt, nasty Democrats, may sit on our Supreme Court. This is the problem. This is absolutely the problem. However, I'm going to go ahead and hop because the subject gets me lit, but let's keep it going, baby. We do have a glimmer of hope from the Daily Mail. Quote, they're making a terrible miscalculation that will be bad for business. Brave Disney worker speaks out about the firm's opposition to, and there it is again, don't say gay bill. How about we call it the anti-groomer bill? Because that's what it is. Says staff disagree and slams the left for failing to respect democracy. Oh, beautiful. Beautiful. A conservative Disney employee said the company is making a terrible miscalculation for opposing the just-signed Parental Rights and Education bill and suggested Republican staff and park-goers may boycott the famous theme park. Yeah, understatement. At this point, especially with the revelation that their executives are literally talking about inserting this stuff in higher numbers, hitting their status quo checkmarks in higher numbers with their own stuff, as you saw from the article yesterday and the day before. We've seen them on video saying it. This isn't a conspiracy theory, people. These individuals are sick, and for some reason, they are laser-sighted in on our children. I don't care who you are. I don't care what you believe. The one thing we can all agree on, the line in the sand, is the children. You stay away from them, but for some reason, that's all they want now. And like I said, liberals don't have their own children. They have yours. That's one way to look at it. You try to take that away from them. Also, as we talked about yesterday, the whole insertion of alphabet community ideals and all of these things about check marks and all that, it is a very, very effective smokescreen for the individuals who, we'll just call a spade a spade. The pedos who push this stuff, they can hide in it very easily. All they do is they pull up their magical shield, and the alphabet community comes out and says, how dare you attack one of ours? And we say, that dude is after kids. And they say, oh, you're just being ridiculous. You're just a conservative. You don't know. Insane to me. Jose Castillo, who is also running for Congress in Florida, said his employer's decision to oppose the controversial bill, which has been dubbed the Don't Say Gay bill by ridiculous media outlets and carried by morons like Ron Perlman and the elites who don't even read the bill could be, quote, bad for business, as not everyone is a raging liberal who works there. Calling me surprised, because from what I've seen, not only was there that pathetic little walkout that for some reason Disney caved to, but if you look into the child trafficking arrests in Disney in Florida and all that over the past couple of years, yeah. But why should that be a surprise? I mean, it's a business that is targeting families and especially children. Again, if that's what these individuals are after, they will flock to it and they will just hide behind these things. Oh, it's because of this bill. Oh, no, sir. No, sir. You are doing things that are despicable. And this isn't just a boycott of Disney World. This is a boycott of all things Disney. I personally don't have Disney Plus. I canceled it when they fired Gina Carano. But it's been nothing but bad decisions ever since. And yeah, I know. I should probably check out Book of Boba Fett, although I've heard very mixed things. I did enjoy The Mandalorian. But that's just because I'm a Star Wars nerd. But even Star Wars is not what it used to be. But, well, c'est la vie. We'll get it back someday when the crazies have been taken out of power. Got to make sure I specify. When we're talking about getting rid of people, we're talking about removing them from positions of power. The bill limits teachers from giving lessons on gender and sexuality to children in kindergarten through third grade. That's all it does. And the best thing is, they keep saying don't say gay. It's the entire spectrum. You could even call it the don't say straight bill, because it's everything. We don't need to be having these conversations with kindergarten through third graders. Why is that controversial to say? Kindergarten through third graders should not be being told and taught sexual lessons from their teachers. As Monica says, whatever happened to just saying, go ask your parents? That's what they said to me. Go ask your parents. Quote, there's this misconception that everyone at Disney are just raging liberals, and I think that can't be farther from the truth. Costello told Fox News on Wednesday, I have tons of people that are working for the Walt Disney Company that reach out to me daily on social media that are Republican. Fabulous. I'm just so happy that they are still working there. At what point does your integrity say, you know what? Get out. Get out of this place. Be gone. They shouldn't have, I mean, it's insane to me. Stand up for what you believe in. Don't send secret messages saying, oh, I'm so outraged, but I really need this job. You can get another job. Anyone can get another job. It may suck. Yes, hard times will come, but at what price is your integrity, right? If they are against these things, you should be against the company. You put your money where your mouth is, and they will respond. And if enough of us do it, boom, it'll be gone like the pathetic fart in the wind that this trend is. Moving right along. An interesting response. Jeremy Boeing, the co-CEO of the Daily Wire, who just made huge waves not too long ago, came out and he made huge waves with the whole Harry's razor thing. As we touched on before, Harry's, Gillette, they've spent years just crapping on what should be their core base by saying, attacking masculinity and saying, hey, boys won't be boys anymore. Fabulous. He came out with his own razor brand and said, don't give your money to people that hate you. Give it to me. I'll appreciate your money, and I'll give you a great product too. That's what it's all about. Not ideologies, just saying, cut the crap out. Give money to people who want you to give it to them. And now with Disney going the way of the woke and claiming that they're going to not only fight this legislation, but do all these crazy things to try to repeal it and all this nonsense, targeting children, inserting agendas, yada, yada, yada. Jeremy Boeing has come out again and said, you know what? Let's hear him say it, shall we? Please do. Oh my god, I think I just realized the audio has been muted this entire time. Well, I look ridiculous, so apologies on that. Basically, you know what, it was only a minute. I hope you enjoyed the minute of silence. Let's see if this works now. Let's try this again.
LGBTQIA representation in content made for very small children. So what are we going to do about it? Well, we're going to do the same thing we always do. We're going to build alternatives. Americans have enormous economic might. They just don't have any alternatives. The Daily Wire is building those alternatives. And today, I'm proud to tell you that we will be launching Daily Wire Kids.
Beautiful. Daily Wire Kids. Name probably needs work, but you get what they're doing, and he's spot on. There aren't alternatives. That's why these companies feel like they have the power to do this, because there just aren't alternatives. There's nothing else for people to turn to. I mean, we all grew up with Disney. Our parents probably grew up with, actually, our parents probably did grow up with Disney too. Disney's been around forever, and so now that this new generation has infiltrated into Disney and is starting to push this sick agenda and claiming, like we saw in the videos that were leaked yesterday, that they were going to insert all this alphabet nonsense, that they were going to insert all these quotas, and they were going to make sure they got to the kids so that people like, oh, big bad Ron DeSantis can't stop us from grooming children. Daily Wire did the best possible thing, and that's, you know what? There's a market for this. Let's seize that opportunity and give people an alternative, because that's what capitalism, beautiful capitalism, is all about. Alternatives and driving the market to what people want, not your agenda. Anywho, moving right along. So, oh boy, do we want to talk about this one? Oregon CRT has critical race theory teacher under criminal investigation after allegedly sending, quote, inappropriate image to a student. Yeah, he sent a nude photograph, so I think inappropriate image is about the tamest you can do. I was only touching on this and to really emphasize how deep this goes. Now, you may say, oh, it's Oregon. And yeah, Oregon is what it is, but the fact is, these people are all over. I mean, we're coming to a point where the school district is supporting them. They're kicking parents out. They're refusing to hear any outrage about what this students and children are being taught. Unfortunately, since our lawmakers can never, ever, ever give us school of choice, because, of course, they're in the bag with the teachers' unions, we are stuck with either two, basically between a rock and a hard place. Either we continue to work, support our family, and send our children to schools full of apparently child groomers, or we make tough decisions. We put ourselves in tough spots, but we know that our kids are not being indoctrinated by this insanity. And I'm not going to go into this article because it is sick. It doesn't need to be talked about. However, I will point out, if you look right there, breaking, 4th grade teacher arrested, charged with attempted. How do you think that sentence ends? I'll tell you how it ends, the same way this sentence ends. It's sick. It honestly is. And this whole thing is sick. And the fact that, I mean, I guess we should be thankful that this bill has removed the masks of those who seek to do these terrible things. But the big takeaway from this is, if we care about our children, which we do, sacrifices may need to be made. We may need to, I mean, a lot of people have already done it, but we may need to bring back homeschooling. We may need to start vetting more. We may need to do more. Pods are always an option. You know, you can pull up with a couple other parents and tell a teacher, hey, we've got, you know, collective 8 children. We'll pay you this much per week. We'll all chip in. And we'll at least have the assurance that our children are learning something and not just being indoctrinated to this nonsense. I'm not going to stay on this long. I really wanted to show that this isn't an isolated pattern. This is happening all over the country, and it's the same thing over and over and over. Teachers, inappropriate conversations, agendas being pushed, and our children suffering. Moving on. Oh, boy. Okay, we're going to end on a... is this where we end? Let me check real quick. Yeah, we're going to end on a somewhat... silly note from the Washington Examiner. Say, what? Kamala Harris tosses word salad after meeting Jamaican Prime Minister. I bring this up. First off, I thought it was funny. I mean, it's Kamala Harris. I mean, anytime she answers a question that's not going hee and then spouting something is always a win. However, I really wanted to emphasize that the 25th Amendment is not the answer, unfortunately. Because we know Mr. Bo Biden, the potato in chief, is not in charge. He's barely even there mentally. He they wheel him on the stage. He babbles something. Oh, I'm only taking one question from this individual, and here's my answer. And that's all we get out of our commander-in-chief. However, we 25th Amendment that guy, and, well, this is what we get to look forward to. So, Vice President Kamala Harris tossed up another word salad following a meeting with the Prime Minister of Jamaica Wednesday, drawing a new round of ridicule from her critics. That was weird. That sentence got weird in my mouth. The White House sit-down with the island nation's leader, Andrew Holness, commemorated the 60th anniversary of diplomatic ties between the countries and marked the first time in nearly 30 years that a Jamaican leader had visited the White House. Harris, whose father is Jamaican, anyways, said she and Holness discussed COVID-19, climate change, and the war in Ukraine. Why did I hesitate there? Well, of course, who Kamala Harris says she is, who she panders to, and who she claims to identify as is obviously not the truth, because, of course, having a Jamaican father means that you don't get to play the card that you came from another continent. Yeah, you should look into her family. They were actually slavers, but it doesn't matter. It really doesn't. It really doesn't. That's one thing about it, like, aside from people who have bizarre ties to some kind of New World Order government like Bill Gates and his dad, aside from the stuff like that, I don't care about the sins of the past, the sins of the father, the sins of anything like that. Each of us are our own individual person. We pay for the mistakes we make. When groups of people start trying to say that everything in their life is the result of generations ago, it never ends. It never ends because, of course, this is not only a country but a world completely built on domination, invasion, control, taking over, yada, yada, yada. I mean, we call ourselves quite civil at this point, but history is what it is. And if anything, you should be thankful that everything happened as it is because, of course, if everything had not happened as it had, you would not be here. You can call it the butterfly effect. The point is, I have to make a note that unlike a lot of people, as funny as it is to talk about Kamala Harris's history, it's meaningless. It really is. I only bring it up because it is quite funny. And here we go. Quote. You know what? Is it unmuted? Let me make sure I'm not dumb this time. Let's hear her say it.
We also recognize, just as it has been in the United States for Jamaica, one of the issues that has been presented as an issue that is economic in the way of its impact has been the pandemic. So to that end, we are announcing today also that we will assist Jamaica in COVID recovery by assisting in terms of the recovery efforts in Jamaica that have been essential to, I believe, what is necessary to strengthen not only the issue of public health, but also the economy.
Wow. We will assist Jamaica in COVID recovery by assisting in terms of the recovery efforts in Jamaica that have been essential. Oh boy, tweeted Grace Vasquez. Her term papers in college must have been a blast to read. While the effort to assist is essential, our effort in assisting will be the most essential. Oh, man. Oh, people. This is Kamala Harris is living proof that you may be able to sleep your way to the top, but faking it till you make it, you got to have some brains behind it. And unfortunately, and this is why I am adamantly against, again, the 25th Amendment is, we know Joe Biden's not in charge, and do you really want to hear the words President Harris ever in your life? Because I don't. And it obviously won't solve a problem. It won't do anything. This woman is, oh boy, incompetent, doesn't begin to do it. She was put on the card because she hit certain check boxes that had to apply to certain demographics because that's how they do everything now. The Democrats, the liberals, that's how it is. It's all about identity. It's all about equity. It's everything. I said it. That's their whole thing. And now you see where programs like, what's the word I'm thinking of? Affirmative action programs, any programs that boost someone based on anything other than their brain. Oh, I guess in sports, their athletic prowess, but something that they can't be, if it boosts them based on something that they can't be vetted on, we get Kamala Harris as our vice president, Ketanji Brown on the Supreme Court. Thanks, Susan Collins. These things happen because we stopped vetting. Because I guess our feelings were hurt because we had to tell someone you're not qualified enough. No. Wrong. This is the problem right there. The check boxes can take you so far, but when push comes to shove, you have to be able to do the job. This woman cannot do the job. So, that wasn't too terrible. That was pretty fun. We got to kind of hit a couple of interesting things going on in the culture, war, kind of things going on politically. And, I'm just going to say this. My closing note here is pay attention. Pay attention to your surroundings. Pay attention to your family. Think about the future. And really think about the little things that you can do day to day to impact and mold a better future. The luxuries you can live without. Because the rug is going to be pulled out. I give it to the end of summer, and that's optimistic. Just start today. Little things. They add up. They add up. So that's all from me. And, it was a pretty fun little time together. Again, apologies that I forgot that clip was muted. But, if you're like me, you take that 55 seconds, you took a drink and went, he'll probably realize it sooner or later. Feel free, as my lovely little button, I'm just in love with that, to like, subscribe, share, the spiel. If you like what I say, we'll be back Monday. Well, we may actually do our shows. We'll see. We got a couple extra shows or a couple other shows that we've been talking about and planning, and it's all just a matter of really getting it all to line up and do it. And it may happen. We'll see how Miss Monica recovers. Be careful. But that's all for me. Hope you have a fabulous weekend. Take care. Have fun. Try to enjoy yourselves, my friends, because, well, who knows how long it'll last.